Yesterday.
Yes. Can you give the audience a little background on who you are and almost everything that you do?
That's a lot, but we'll try to summarize it. So, I am full time at IBM right now, and I also adjunct professor at WCC and Pace University. I've been at IBM a little over 7 years now, and I'm a cybersecurity remediation subject matter expert, if that is not a full title and a half.
That's crazy. So, how old are you?
I am 29.
And you were just married, so congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. October this year.
Yes, that's amazing and beautiful. So, you, say the least, are very accomplished at your age, right? What would you say the best advice you've ever been given was, and why?
So, I think the best advice that anybody's ever given me was by my colleague while I was at IBM, and it has nothing to do with the job I do. It was, he always told me, the janitor or anybody, no, but you are not better than anybody else. No, you shouldn't treat anybody any differently than you would treat everybody. And that stuck with me pretty much forever. And I always now look at everybody as equals. It's all, like, ever since then, it woke me up. And I actually go more out of my way to say hello to the janitor every day. And because everybody for some reason ignores them, and it doesn't make any sense. But they're there working their butt off, just like we are there to work our butt off. And, it's just people are people. Be nice to everybody, right? So that's probably some of the best advice that stuck with me.
That is an amazing piece of advice. Wow. Now, what would you say the worst piece of advice you've ever been given was?
Oh, let's see. The worst piece of advice. YOLO. YOLO is not good advice if you ask me.
No.
No, because you don't only live once. Those who have a mindset for generational wealth and happiness and long term, you don't only live once. You're living for generations. So I don't think that advice really sticks with me.
So to somebody at home who wants to accomplish that big thing, be a serial entrepreneur, be an executive at some big company or firm, and be respected by many, what would your advice to them be? They haven't started anything yet.
Well, that's a great question, because that's actually why I started adjuncting professoring. I see in the industry how hard it is for people to get started. And the students that are in my class are mainly just coming in the first, couple years of college. And unfortunately, the school doesn't do a great job at explaining what the career and how you should prepare for your life. So what I do is I go off curriculum and the first couple weeks of the semester, I talk about focusing on the students themselves, explaining to them all the different domains of IT and IT security and what they could be expecting in the real world. Because I've been working and living in the real world, and most professors like to do that after. They start teaching after their careers, not normally during. So I'm blessed enough to be able to do it while during. And I take what I learn on my everyday job and I pass it to them, so that way their experience can start to, open up their mindset and start to understand what they are going to be getting into. I mean, they're going to college, or if they're not going to college, they just want to enter the field, whatever it is, at least they understand what they're getting into, At all schools that I've seen, they don't do a good job of really going over and explaining what the degree is, and especially because there's so many different areas of IT and cybersecurity, it's confusing. So there's computer science, there's information technology, there's computer information systems, there's cybersecurity, and there's IT security, and all these other domains as well. And when you're somebody just coming out of high school and you're like, oh, okay, I'm interested in computers or something, right? Well, they go and tell you these are all the degrees that we have to offer, and you just pick one, right? Well, I at least like to tailor it and explain what they're getting into. So that's how I try to change the game a little bit with the perspective of anybody who takes my class, at least.
That's amazing. I love that you teach classes. What is teaching classes? You've obviously learned something during the process.
I learned a lot. I learned about a lot about myself too, because I still remember this first day, my first day as a professor. It was, I just walked in there like it was any other day, because I deal with people on a regular basis anyway at my main job. And, the students are coming in there. I remember being a student not too long ago, and they don't know. They just don't know. And they don't know what to expect. And it's my job and my responsibility to go over what they're to be expecting in the semester or even just in life. And that's it's a lot. It's hard. So I learned a lot about how to phrase the sentences that I say, how to think on the spot. I'm a very intuitive type of person. Like this podcast, I can't prepare for this podcast, right? We just have to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I actually don't prepare for anything that I ever go on stage, or if I ever present at a conference or something. I go in there because I've trained my entire life for that moment. And I go back in my head and I think about exactly the experiences and the life lessons and the content that I've acquired and learned over the years. And that's what comes out at that moment, right? So I think that that's probably one of the most important skills anybody can ever have.
It's amazing. I love that you are so diverse. I love how you are teaching yourself, you're teaching others, you are a leader in IBM, you have hobbies like cars like I do, and you're always just pushing yourself, whether that's in the gym, whether
Yep.
that's at work, whether that's teaching people, just always wanting to be better every day. Where does that come from?
Comes from within. You know, you see there is money to be made, there is happiness to be made. You know, going back to like that YOLO statement I was saying before, you could live like you're only going to live once, because you do. But if you prepare and build and do make all the decisions that you make in a proper sequence in your life, and it's like dominoes, it's all going to just fall into place eventually. And everything you do today is going to benefit tomorrow. And that's what I focus on.
It's amazing. So I really pride myself on getting in the rooms with people who think bigger than I do. And I truly believe you're somebody, you motivate me, you inspire me, you think bigger than I do. I love being around you. Can you talk to me about that, being in the rooms with people who think bigger than you do?
Yeah. So I'm a strong believer of, if you are the smartest person in the room, then you are in the wrong room.
I totally agree.
And we've had these conversations
Yeah.
before. Um, if I am ever in that position, I want to leave, because I don't find myself beneficial unless I'm there to be like as a professor, right? I'm supposed to be knowledgeable in the content that I'm explaining, or at least have in-depth knowledge, right? And for the students who don't, I have to explain it in a way that they can understand it. But I learn just as much as from the students that they learn from me. And I learn all about what they're doing at the schools these days, what they're doing in their lives. Like the first half of the class, I don't even get into the content anymore. I just talk about them. I just want to know about them, right? I want to know, what are you doing? Like, what else is out there? That's how I learned about investing. That's how I learned about all sorts of stuff, construction, real estate, all of these different areas, because I want to learn as much as possibly can in all these different areas to grow myself. And I have a lot of fun doing that. And that's how I got into cars. That's how I got into, like I said, real estate, and learning all the different areas of finances and how to multiply your money and all those types of things. And I find that really important, but I enjoy it. Like, my life is not work. This is my life.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a great time living my life. And to me, it's the best.
It is the best. I love being around you. I learn a lot when I'm around you. I don't know. Do you learn anything around being around me?
I do. I learn a lot of different things, actually. So you are a lot more outspoken than I am. I kind of more keep to myself in most situations, and you're out front, the face of everything. And for me, that's hard. It's difficult. It's difficult to even do this, right?
Yeah.
Like something like this. It's not an everyday thing. And one of the things that I'm slowly learning from you is how to get out more, how to put yourself out in front and do that. And ever since I met you, I started doing more conferences, and I speak at conferences now. And, I learn a lot from, the tips and tricks that are discussions have. It might not seem like it, right?
Yeah.
Like when we're hanging out, we might, say the dumbest things, but you know what? It's really business oriented at the end of the day.
Yes.
It's still focusing on a plan. It's focusing on some type of mission. So I think that that's a really big benefit that I get with you.
I always learn being around you. I'm actually very honored, and I take it as a huge compliment that you've learned from